Hi everyone, this is Miss Moriarty and I'm here to discuss with us our instructional video on the cell cycle as well as some of the vocab essential for you to know for mitosis. So remember guys, right, we know that in eukaryotes, they have a very specific lifespan that we break into what's called the cell cycle. We know that the cell cycle is broken down into a couple different parts, right? One being interphase, and interphase has then three subphases, G1, S, and G2, while mitosis is where we experience cell division, right? That is broken down into prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. And lastly, we can see that once the nuclei split, the cytoplasm will split as well, and that's considered to be cytokinesis. Now here's just a little more detailed information on our interphase here. We know that G1 or GAP1, this is where the cell is going to be carrying out its kind of routine functions. It's going to be growing in size, making new proteins and organelles. And then once it shifts and we know that it hits the G1 checkpoint and everything is all good, it's going to move into the synthesis phase, right? That's where DNA is going to be replicated in preparation for then cell division. Then we're going to shift into GAP2. That's the second growth phase. Right now, the cell is going to prepare itself to divide. It's going to grow just a little bit more. It's going to make a couple of materials needed for cell division. And once it passes through the G2 checkpoint, it will then enter into mitosis. Right, and here in mitosis, that's where two nuclei are then going to be formed, each with an identical set of chromosomes in the end, and we know it's broken down into 4 steps. And then lastly there, we see that cytokinesis is where our cell is going to split in half, and each cell will have its own nuclei and its own DNA. Now here we'll find in our mitosis investigation today as well as tomorrow, you should find that a lot of these cells in the images we've been looking at in class are going to actually be in interphase. And that's because the cell spends most of its time in interphase because there's a lot of stuff to do, right? There's a lot of growing and preparing for division. And remember which pieces or phases make up interphase. That's G1, S, and G2. Now, some important vocab for us to understand when we talk about mitosis versus another form of cell division, which is meiosis. Now, somatic cells, or what's also known as body cells, these are all the cells in your body except for sex cells, so except egg and sperm. Some examples of those would be heart cells, liver cells, bone cells, skin cells. All of those types of cells are somatic. All of those types of cells undergo mitosis. However, sex cells such as sperm and egg, those, also called gametes, undergo meiosis. Another important vocab word to understand is that when a cell or an organism consisting of 2 sets of chromosomes, we call that cell or organism diploid, meaning you get 1 set of DNA from mom and you get 1 set of DNA from dad. And all of the body cells or somatic cells found in our bodies are to be diploid. And in humans, our diploid number is actually 46. And that's because we get 23 chromosomes from mom and 23 from dad. Diploid can also sometimes be written as 2N. And remember, right, the reason why we say 2 sets of chromosomes when we refer to diploid is because we know the prefix di, that means 2. Now, there's another term that we're going to add to our vocab repertoire, and that's going to be the word haploid. This is when a cell or organism consists of only 1 set of chromosomes. This is going to be half the diploid number. And it's going to be gametes or sex cells that are going to be considered haploid. So in humans, we said our diploid number was 46, but our haploid number is 23, right? That's going to be found in egg and sperm. Now, haploid cells can also be symbolized as just 1 singular N. Good way to remember it, if you think about hap, means half or equals half. So now, guys, I know we've been talking a lot about different types of division. We're going to be going more in depth right into mitosis, which we know is what body cells are going to undergo. And eventually we'll discuss meiosis, and that's what gametes are going to undergo in order to get half the number of chromosomes in the end. Because remember, in mitosis, these cells in the end are actually going to be identical to one another, versus in meiosis, these cells are actually genetically different. And remember, mitosis is broken down into 4 stages. And the big piece here is that we know before cell division can occur, the DNA of the original parent must be copied so that each new cell has the correct amount of DNA. Now, some other essential vocab terms that we do need to be familiar with is 1, centrioles. These are types of actually microtubules that are only found in animal cells that are going to help to anchor the cell during mitosis, as well as spindle fibers. These are other forms. They're actually the elongations of centrioles, and they're going to help to actually latch onto chromosomes and help pull them apart. And if you can recall from class today as well as tomorrow, we know that the 4 phases of mitosis are prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Each stage is going to lead to the eventual separation of our parent cell into 2 daughter cells. And in multicellular organisms, mitosis typically results in growth and repair. But in a unicellular organism, maybe an organism such as fungi, that might actually end up as asexual reproduction. All right, guys, that's it for the end of our video. Please make sure as you watched the video, you took notes using our cell division notes, and please mark this as done.